Anybody would like to speak on any agenda items, please turn in a blue card, like right now, to Ms. Peggy. All right. The August 13th, 2024 meeting of the Taxpayers School Board. We'll start with the prayer and pledge by Mr. Baumgartner.
Bow your head. Lord, thank you for blessing us on this day, Lord. Thank you for blessing our teachers, our administrators, our returning students, our parents. Lord, give them the strength and the guidance through this school year, Lord. Put that bubble of protection around them, Lord, so they can have a good year and learn and achieve all their goals. Lord, thank you for giving us the clarity on this board and the knowledge to make good decisions for the betterment of our students and our teachers and our administration. Lord, we ask all this in your name. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Ms. Hale.
Present.
Mr. Baumgartner. Here. Mr. Brode. Here. Mr. Castile. Here. Ms. Fontenot.
Here.
Ms. Gay.
Here.
Mr. Hardesty. Here. Ms. Hardy McReynolds.
Here.
Mr. Natale. Here. Mr. O'Banion. Here. Mr. Pichon. Here. Mr. Roberts. Here. Mr. Tarver.
Here.
Reverend Wallace.
Here.
Dr. Washington.
Present.
Give it one.
All right, first thing on the agenda, I need a motion to approve the minutes from July 9th and July 11th. Let's see. Got a motion and a second. Do you have a question?
No.
Okay. All right, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. Okay, that passes. Moving on, item number 4 is presentation, starting with Mr. Jamie Raspberry.
Well, good evening. Tonight I'm going to go over the quarterly report from May the 1st to July 31st, which is pretty much our summertime, so it's really not much on it. During that time frame, we had spring football in May. Most of our schools did spring football, and we covered 13 football scrimmages during that time. And then we had the Lake Area Summer Basketball, which most of our boys teams attended. Sulphur High School hosted that this summer, and we did 10 nights of basketball. And we did Lake Area Summer Volleyball, which Park High School hosted for our volleyball teams. And they had 6 nights we did that. And we also had some summer basketball at Iowa High School. We covered those, and Sam Houston High School. We also attended summer workouts for all of our various sports, weightlifting during the summer. And during that time frame, we did 39 injury assessments, which is about normal for summer. There's not a lot going on, which is good. Our kids can actually be kids a little bit. So we're continuing this school year to visit our schools 5 times a week for our contract, and we look forward to the upcoming school year and our relationship with the school. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Raspberry? Okay, seeing none, that was for information purposes only. Thank you, Mr. Raspberry. Dr. Raspberry, right? Doctor, Mr. Sorry, Mr. Raspberry. All right, moving on to item B, script spelling bee winner. Who's going to present this one?
Ms. Kelsey.
Go ahead. That's it. Somebody has to present it, though.
Is there an
Okay.
All right. Hi, my name is Kelsey Swear. I work for CBS Lake Charles. This is Paranika. Want to say hello? So Paranika was our 2023 Regional Spelling Bee winner. And this was only our second year. I'm sorry, 2024. This is only our second year to do it. We started in 23. We did 24. We're heading into our third year. So we are the bridge between the local students and the national level. Before we started, any student that wanted to participate in this national spelling bee had to get lumped in with like Shreveport or a different area of the state. So since we started it here, Southwest Louisiana is represented nationally. And this past year, Paranika was a third grader, and she beat out the 5 parish area up to 8th grade to go to nationals. 9 years old. So what happens is the school will register online and pay a fee. And once you do that, you are given access to the Spelling Bee website. And it gives you any and everything you could need to know. Resources, study guides, everything for every school to do their own bee within the school. Their winner then comes to us at the regional level. In 2025, it will be February 22nd at South Lake Theater. We're actually gearing up right now because the 20th of this month is when registration opens. So we're looking forward to the next one. And when the students come to us, they compete against, like I said, all 5 parishes, and that student goes to nationals. The Scripps National Spelling Bee gives them their room and board, and then we help with the flights. We don't want that to be a reason that a student and their parent can't go. So we make sure that they get there. The National Spelling Bee is televised nationally. Our regional bee, we do televise on CBS Lake Charles. And yeah, anything you want to say about the bee? Did you have a good time? I haven't even talked to her since she's been back, so I'm so excited. This is actually in 2025, the 100th anniversary of Scripps. You're trying to go back, huh? Yeah, so we're super excited, and we just want to grow this every year. The first year we had 19 students. This year we had 21, so we're hoping to keep growing, and we're so proud of Paranika, and she's taken us on her journey as much as she could. So we've loved watching her grow, and hopefully she'll be back as a 4th grader.
Are her parents here? You guys can stand. Great job. You guys too. What was it?
Her favorite word, favorite word to spell was?
Amaxophobia.
Amaxophobia. Fear of driving. There we go.
Fear of driving. Okay.
That's your word. Way ahead.
All right, next up is Beta Club State winner.
Yep, and we have Ms. Bell, so.
Good evening. So it's actually the Beta National winner, state and national. So we started the Beta Club 4 years ago at Combry-Fondale Elementary, and Preston Leday started at Combry in the 4th grade in Northside STEM Academy. And Preston had the opportunity to attend the Beta Conference, and he won state and went on to participate in nationals, making history at Compre-Fondale Elementary. As a fifth grader, Preston said, not only am I going to go to nationals again this year, I am going to bring home a trophy. And I will again make history for Compre-Fondale Elementary, and true to his word, he attended the national conference this summer, and he won third place. Out of 21 schools and 13 states, Preston Lede was known as the third place National Beta Instrumental Soloist winner. So thank you for this opportunity. We look forward to the great things that Preston is going to do at Oak Park Middle School in their next program.
All right, great job. Yeah, Ms. Lede's parents, yes, absolutely. And round of applause for you guys. What instrument? Drums. Awesome.
He also plays in his church.
Awesome.
His grandfather is the pastor. And these are the baby sponsors. I had to bring them up.
All right, that was the last presentation. Moving on to the superintendent's report. At your discretion, Dr. Van Meter.
Yes, sir. You received your Head Start report. The Head Start program information report was submitted for the 23-24 school year. Recruitment events conducted within the community included the Southwest Louisiana CU Resource Fair. The Head Start staff and policy council members attended the Louisiana Head Start Association Conference in Shreveport. And during that conference, Dr. Michelle Jubert welcomed the Region 6 staff and conference attendees during the opening ceremony. Your next school population report will be given to you in September, reflecting the numbers from May 31st to August 31st. I'd like to report our July 2024 sales tax numbers for our general fund, which show collections of $277,467, or 1.9% above budget for the first month of the 24-25 fiscal year. And collections are $1,432,502, or 8.9% below collections for the same month last year. After 1 month, collections are $277,467, or 1.9% above budget, and $1,432,501, or 8.9% below for the same period last year. Hurricane information was included in your packet, and in your packets and at your seating area, you'll find the required ethics disclosure form regarding any member of your immediate family, and that's defined as your children, your spouses, the spouses of your children, your brothers, your sisters, the spouses of your brothers and sisters, your parents, your spouse, parents of your spouse. And please make sure that this is uploaded to the Louisiana Board of Ethics by September 1st, or if you need help, we'll be glad to do that for you and keep a copy of your transmission report. In compliance with Act 539 that was passed this summer, we are live streaming our board meetings. Tonight's the first time we're doing this. We are currently live streaming to the CPSB YouTube channel. They're going from the crow's nest up there. And we're still researching means to store the videos like some of the other districts do as well. We'll update you if we have to change the curve. We're so proud to have three educators that were honored as state finalists in the Educator of the Year awards in New Orleans this past month. Dr. Shauna Anderson was a finalist for the Middle School Principal of the Year. We actually had two of those three educators named as winners at the state level. Dr. Suresh Chiranguru from LeBron was named the State High School Teacher of the Year, and Ms. Tiffany Pfeiffer from Washington Marion Magnet High School was named the State New Teacher of the Year. The LDOE released individual proficiency scores for students for the 23-24 school year. We had several schools show significant growth. Earl Watson grew by 13 percentage points in proficiency. This was ninth in the state in growth. And other elementary schools and middle schools showed significant growth too. The Blue Settlement grew 7 points. SP Arnett was 6. Gillis was 6. And at the high school level, we had Bard exhibit the highest growth in proficiency with 4 proficiency points improved over last year. T.S. Cooley also scored in the top 10 in the state in overall achievement with 91% proficiency. And the entire school performance scores will be announced for the 23-24 school year when the LDOE releases them later in the fall. Just to kind of give you an update, as of yesterday afternoon, 4,401 employees have taken the new yearly virtual onboarding training through the tech department. Mrs. Long and her team in the tech department did a fantastic job of setting up the training. Good attendance with that. And also as of today, for the 24-25 school year, we have hired a total of 174 new teachers. It's 93 in elementary, 23 in middle, 58 in high. And as usual, in next month's reports, we'll have more detail on personnel. This concludes the superintendent's report.
Any questions about the superintendent's report? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. No executive session, no appropriate action on executive session. 8A is approval for fall auction of surplus items.
So moved.
Got a motion, Mr. Castillo, second, Mr. Hardesty. Any questions about this? No questions, seeing none. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. B is approval of job descriptions, Act 311, Plan A job descriptions and Plan B job descriptions. Do we have any presentation about? You got a blue card.
So what we have with Act 311 is, like many of the things we're going to discuss tonight, laws that got passed this summer. We've already done one amendment to the salary schedule that we had to do earlier in the summer, and this is coming back to you with amended job descriptions that are going to reflect both Act 311 and then also changes that happened over the summer in terms of things like the state changing the evaluation system. Those job descriptions have to reflect that. So this is the start of what will probably come to you with a series of these. We started with those folks who are at the school level in teaching positions to make sure that we do those first.
Thank you. We will take this blue card and then we'll open the floor for any board questions. Let's go ahead with Ms. Renee Rule. 5 minutes.
Renee Roll, Calcasieu Association of Educators, 1007 6th Street. So one of the things I do want to say is I want to commend CPSB on being a leader in this area. When we look at legislation, we know, whether it's the Constitution or anything, we know that a lot of times we have to look at the intent of a law. Why are they writing this law? To understand it. So when we look at legislation between Act 311, it's because in many instances in Louisiana, extra duties were being put upon teachers on top of what they were already doing. And we all know teachers already take stuff home, work extra, we work a lot of hours. I will say this, and again, this is kudos to CPSB, we're miles ahead, even before there was amendments made to the job description. We already do things such as at games, we don't ask our teachers to sign up for that. It's not mandatory to sign up. They have parents, they have other options. I know if you come in early for a duty, you leave early. There's a lot of things that CPSB does that's already happening and is great. One of the things we do want to consider, and I just think that I don't know where CPSB stands on this. I know that they're highly supportive of their staff and we appreciate that. But I do want to share with you the intent of part of the law of Section 3, or I think it's A, first part. In that part, they're talking about in PLCs that when teachers are not afforded their full instructional time, that is unencumbered, that basically is not a plan that is designated to a PLC or to a teacher group plan, like you basically are assigned what you have to do. That time is made up some other time in the day. With high school and middle school, they have block scheduling. That means if I have to go to a PLC meeting, and PLC is professional learning community, from the minute you drop your students off, you go to a meeting, you're in that meeting the whole entire time, you're talking about student data, these things are important. Nobody wants to do them after school, nobody doesn't think aren't important, but when you are in elementary, you drop your students off at enrichment, you've had them all morning, you drop them off in enrichment, you go to the meeting, you're in the meeting the whole time, you don't go to the bathroom, you can't tend to any personal needs, I'm sure I don't have to explain that. And then as soon as the meeting's over, you go pick your students back up in enrichment and you have them again until the end of the day. In middle school, high school, those teachers have block planning. So a lot of times they have a plan time and then they have an additional duty-free plan time or duty-free lunch plan time. So in the event that they have a PLC meeting, they again have another plan time during the day to go to the restroom, to make a phone call to a parent, to do the things that are required. Sometimes it's even literally eat lunch. Today, the way my lunch went, I literally had to eat standing up. Come on, baby, it's time for us to go. So these teachers aren't even given a chance to eat lunch. When we look at the intent of that law, we are requesting for us to consider duty-free lunch plan times for elementary teachers on the days that they have PLCs, which the law does state. For that time allowed, make up that time sometime that day. On the days that I have a PLC meeting, I should be able to have a time where I can go eat a lunch if I don't want to eat with children. If I do want to eat with children, that's fine. I can still eat with my children. We have breastfeeding mothers who choose to not breastfeed because they know when they go back to work, they're going to have 2 days out of that week that they're children to children all day. They do not get a time. They do not get 5 minutes to go to the restroom. We literally in elementary line our students up outside the bathroom and go to the restroom on the days that we have PLC. Now on the days that I have on the days that I have plan time, that is uninterrupted plan time, I can run to the restroom. And this is not a free break time. I'm doing all of the duties of my day. Planning, calling parents, writing notes. On the days that I have PLCs, there is no time. When you have students, your students meeting students until the end of your day. That's all I have to say. So I would ask for y'all's support and y'all finding a duty-free lunchtime for teachers, some kind of schedule. It is doable. Every other state in the United States finds a way to have a lunch duty schedule for teachers. Louisiana is the only state that does not. It's manageable. It's doable.
Thank you, Ms. Rule. All right, so let me get a motion on this. Motion, Mr. Natale, got a second, Reverend Wallace. That's going to be on approval of job descriptions, Act 311, Plan A job descriptions, and Plan B job descriptions as presented. Mr. Natale, do you have any questions? Okay, Reverend Wallace, go ahead.
Just a quick question regarding a description, a title rather, not a description. For the word of the title made, is there a better word to use than that? Made, maybe cleaner or school cleaner or something that we can adjust the title and leaving the same description? Just something simple, but just.
We can look at that if that's what you like. I think that's how it's listed in the salary schedule. Which is, I imagine why we did that. Is that correct? Yeah. You can do that.
Yeah, something a little bit kind of more consistent with
Yes, sir.
what we are today.
Understood.
Mr. O'Banion.
Speaking toward what Ms. Rule was saying, is there something we can do? Because I do know, I've seen it, and, there are elementary teachers that
Yes, sir.
when they're at lunch with their kids,
Yes, sir. Understood. And in terms of things like PLC days, I don't see a problem at all with, cut loose a couple minutes early from that PLC to be able to go to the bathroom and take care of, a little bit of a break before we started doing that again. In terms of doing duty-free lunches every single day, I think that's, something that every school administrator is gonna strive to do. I mean, it's gonna look a little bit different in every location, right? And it's gonna be easier in some places than others just because of the size of the school, and the number of folks that you have. But I know as an administrator, a lot of times, I was pulling lunch duty and I was moving around so that other, so that others can take it.
Does,
We can make that.
I mean, according to the state act, are they supposed to have 45 minutes?
Yes, sir. So in terms of the plan, yes. Now, that's one of the things we talked to, both unions about this as well. In terms of the PLCs and things like that, they're planning during PLCs as well, right? I mean, those are things that we have to do in order to make sure that we're moving all the kids forward, right? I don't think, and I think Ms. Rule spoke to it as well. I don't think anybody here wants to say, okay, we're not gonna do any PLCs during the day, we're gonna do everything after school. Nobody wants that, because then we would all be there doing PLCs every single afternoon until 3:30. That, there's not a single person that's probably gonna say that's the best idea. But I think what we can do is when we use our PLC time during the week, number one, we limit it, right? We're talking 1-2 times, no more. And then also taking some time, like she said, to make sure that we are letting folks take care of basic needs, basic human needs, so that we are mindful that everybody's, doing the best they can for kids, but we're also not robots.
Mr. Rowe?
I'm gonna kind of agree and disagree with that. I think, being married to a kindergarten teacher for the past 34 years, I don't know how many times I've heard, couldn't go to the bathroom, we can't eat lunch because you gotta sit down and you gotta, open the kids' lunch packs and you gotta, open up the ketchup, you gotta open up the mustard, and it's splintered all over the place. So they don't have time to eat lunch. They don't have time to go to the bathroom. They don't have time to basically catch a breath during the day. And then they're with them 24/7. And I understand kind of what you're saying, but I think I'd like to see you and staff come back in have a focus group. And I'm not going to make a motion on this, but I'd kind of like to see it where you have a couple of teachers come in, a couple of administrators, and get something formally in place to be able to address this. Because that's what they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. If we did that and had those teachers in middle school and high school do what they do on the elementary side, we do this in a lot of teachers. Something's got to happen to be able to alleviate some of that during the day so they can function not only on a personal basis, but to get things done the way that they need to be able to do it. We always talk about teacher retention and teacher pay and all that kind of stuff. And pay doesn't become an issue until it turns into, I don't get paid enough to deal with this, and this. Well, this, and this is included, kind of wrapped up in there. So I think I'm not going to make a motion on it, but I'd kind of like to see and maybe have a couple of us on there with it just to kind of hear what the ideas are to be able to address that.
That's something we could do. I can get with Ms. Jackson. We can work something.
I appreciate that.
Mr. Castillo?
So just a couple of questions. What is, it kind of refers back to monthly, it's not the job description, it refers to Act 311.
Yes, sir.
What is what consists of tasks beyond duties and responsibilities? And what is the pay based on those tasks and duties after hours?
So what Act 311 says is that anything that doesn't fit in the job description, if we're asking them to do it after hours, let's say it's work a ball game, right? We can't say, hey, you have to work a ball game. We would say, if you want to work a ball game and you want to get paid for it, we have to pay them $30 an hour. So that's what our folks have to get paid, and we've already kind of talked to administrators about that, so they are aware of how that works. So the law says $30 an hour.
And how are those different people, they volunteer and say, hey, I'm gonna work this volleyball game for the gig of it, or whatever?
Yeah, so, I mean, I can tell you how things work, and it's gonna kind of work different in different areas, right? So let's go back to, say, a high school football game. In some places, in some of your bigger schools, the folks who work the gate are gonna get paid. The reason they get paid is because that football gate is making money, and they get paid that way. At some of the smaller schools, a football gate may just be the teachers are volunteering to work there because, you know, the football gate isn't making as much money. And so now it says not only the teacher's gonna get paid, but it says they're gonna get paid $30 an hour.
So, let's just take a middle school.
Yes, sir.
And we take a football coach that they say $2,000 supplement per year.
Yep.
That coach 3 sports, he's out there many hours.
Yes, sir.
They can almost give up coaching and work the gate of every volleyball game, every basketball game, and throughout the year make the same amount.
Yes, sir.
$2,000. So I'm saying that to say this, I think we need to look at increasing supplements for these different people that can quit coaching. And we already know, if we look at the applicants or the vacancies for middle school coaches, we've had a number of them. And if we want to keep them, we need to figure something out on that, you know, because if you're working 3 hours a day and you work, you know, that's not almost $100, and you work two days a week, man, that's
Yes, sir.
gonna add up quickly to $2,000 versus working football, basketball, and track.
And so in addition to looking at those, one of the things staff has already discussed that we're gonna have to come to y'all with is talking about paying supplements possibly for things that we don't currently pay supplements for. Just because of that very reason, right? Because when you've got somebody who goes and works, you know, a beta club or something like that, and responsible for a beta club, and they go off and cover a beta convention, right? That's a long time.
So they're included in this.
Well, so here's the deal. So we're gonna have to come back with supplements and say, hey, look, we need to pay these people supplements, to make sure that we're covering their time. Because right now, they're not getting covered. You know, the first time you go on an overnight trip with Beta to, you know, Lafayette for 2 days, that's gonna, if every person in a pair of shoes Beta sponsor did that gets expensive in a hurry. So we are gonna have to look at coming to y'all, and you can probably expect that over the next couple months, coming to y'all with proposals for supplementals for folks who don't normally have supplementals in the schedule, just because of this law. The first step, though, actually the first step was about a month ago, right, when we amended the salary schedule. Second step is coming through and doing job descriptions. And then the third step is coming back and saying, okay, these are the things that we're seeing throughout the year. We're gonna have to look.
Ms. Ayo.
Coaches that drive buses for football games, they've been doing it out of the kindness of the heart. How's that gonna work?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
You're welcome.
They get paid? They're getting paid right now? They're getting paid right now.
So there's, take care, let's say volunteer to do it, there's some other group, because it's their sport, they take them out of their program, but once they have the CDL or the driving afternoons, it's in the salary schedule. They're getting paid every to drive the athletic trip.
So, yeah, does it come out of athletic fund, like their school boost?
Normally what would happen is, let's say, for example, you've got a football team that's going, and you got to have a bunch of buses for that, and you've got to have a bunch of postal CDLs for that, and most of the time that's going to be paid through football.
Through football is in,
Like if football's the team that's going,
mhm.
then it would be the football budget that comes out, the football account.
And that's the fundraising money that parents have put in too? Or do they have CPS? Okay, so it's not Patrick Parish School Board money that goes into the football. It's It's fundraising money that,
That is correct. But right now, also what's happening is when somebody works the front gate of the football stadium at home, that's where that money's coming from as well. That's where that's coming from everywhere.
so Couch Fair School Board isn't actually paying them, it's coming out of fundraising events
It's coming out of that account. Yes, ma'am.
through payroll. Through payroll?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
All right, I was looking at, school counselors, that's kind of one of my things, I think they do, is
They do a lot. Yes, ma'am.
testing, and I don't even see testing in a job description. But they spend hours and hours of test coordinating, and, my concern is we have a mental health crisis going on, and our counselors need to be counseling, and there's a lot of wonderful things in here, in the individual student planning, the systems support, but I'm not really sure how much time they actually get to implement all this. I think they spend more time than we realize testing.
Yes, ma'am, and I hear you, and you're right. This isn't necessarily representative of the percentage of time that they spend in each area. But what the job description is gonna represent is all the duties that they have in the different areas that they need to accomplish.
Is testing on here? I mean, I don't see it mentioned, but
Yes, ma'am.
there's a lot of information up here tonight.
Yes, ma'am, there is.
See it?
They covered under academic achievement. So when he talks about the skills and free domain, I can double check on it if you want. And what we can do if you like, is we can do everything but the counselors tonight. And we can come back and do counselors next month.
Okay, I know
There's
they spend a lot of time testing, and it's not even mentioned.
Agreed. And I would agree, and if it's not in there, it needs to be, right? And so what I can suggest if y'all want is to hold back counselors, and we can approve everybody else, and then come back and do counselors again next month. But you're absolutely right, it does need to be in there that we have counselors.
Right?
Okay.
Is it possible for you to get some counselors in on some of those?
We could certainly do that. We can get with both the counselors and then also the council supervisors. I know when staff made these job descriptions, one of the things they looked at too was other districts as well and how those other districts were set up. One of the things we found was when other districts laid out their job descriptions, some of them were very, very vague and others were way too detailed. And so we try to kind of go Goldilocks in the middle there. And it could be that we missed something, and that's something that's easily remedied. And if you hold off on the counselors, you can certainly do that.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yep.
The last thing, Ms. Rule was not exaggerating at all on elementary teachers. Been there, done that. When I transferred to middle school, I thought I died and gone to heaven. I actually got to go to the bathroom. Mr. Bro mentioned something about not wanting to make a motion. I would like to see something in writing, because we have some admin that say that's just the way it is, and then we have some admin that will make sure that those teachers get to go to the bathroom. It's bad. It's brutal. I don't know any profession where people are asked to do what elementary teachers do on a daily basis, day in, day out. They jump through hoops. We set the hoops on fire and they still jump through them. And I mean, we're asking bathroom and lunch. And we have times and places for middle school and high school, but our elementary teachers, they do not. And we have a shortage. People are real crazy about going into elementary education. They're in there, and you know this because of the passion. But we need to do something. Our teachers need to have, and I'd like something in writing. Also, when you communicate with us, I don't know if I'm getting older, according to my birth certificate I am, but I need you to use your teacher voice because I
Yes,
can't
ma'am.
hear you.
How about I turn on both mics? There's probably a reason there's 2 mics here.
Please.
Is that better?
You know,
Yeah, that's a lot better.
That is much better.
I turned on one, I guess I needed both.
Apparently I couldn't hear either, because like, that's way better.
Here,
So can I make a motion to make an amendment to add, help me out, Tony. To add that we have something in writing saying that elementary teachers will get some unencumbered time for personal needs, restrooms, phone calls.
Okay, so that's, well, Mr. Bain's got the second, so that's a motion and a second to make that amendment. You guys familiar enough with what you described on the wording? Okay. So what we're gonna do now, I got a few more people on the general discussion, but what we're gonna do now, the way it's supposed to work, we're gonna discuss only the amendment to keep everything kind of straight. That's what we're supposed to do right now. So I got a few people that had already asked to speak, and I'm gonna come back to you guys. But right now, let's start over speaking only on the amendment. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Ms. Gay?
which amendment?
On
There
the-
was this amendment?
Ms. Aya's amendment.
I'm all the way back to Act 311.
Okay,
My hand was.
right. That's fine. I thought, okay, so anybody on Ms. Aya's amendment? Mr. Brown, go ahead.
I agree with that. I mean, I didn't want to do it, but I think it needs to be in writing, because she's exactly right. Just like we have a lot of schools that enforce the dress codes differently, they're not the same. We can't do that with the teachers. It's got to be in writing. It's got to be, this is the way it's getting up. Just like in middle school and high school, they have these periods broken down. It's got to be that in the elementary schools. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Look at it, I think it would be cheaper to add a floating sub on the payroll the entire time and be able to do that. If we have a teacher that's out there, sub's got to go in to do that, and bring somebody else in there to be able to do that. I think the system could afford to be able to dump that cost on the.
And we did have the floating sub that we added this year that we left even with COVID backing off, right? So there's a floating sub now, but if somebody's absent that day, then they're in the classroom, right? And that's the vast majority of the time they're in the classroom. So you're saying add an additional one?
Right, that sub, floating sub, all of a sudden gets dumped into the classroom.
Which is why they're there, that's what.
Right, then we bring in somebody else to come in and fill it, because just because they're out doesn't mean that there's 12 elementary teachers in that school that we're back to where we are right now. Or we look at, designating use of a para or something like that. I mean, there's ways to be able to do it, but we want it to be in writing, so it's upheld, and it's not like the dress code where it's just do whatever you want.
Understood.
All right, Dr. Washington. Just a reminder, only on Ms. Aya's amendment.
Right. Ms. Ayo, I do agree with you. I think we need to have something in writing. Having been an elementary teacher and having duty requiring me to be at work at 7 a.m., having a class starting at 8, having lunch duty, and then having bus duty, and finishing at around 4:30, 5 o'clock. It's not fun not having to use the restroom. So I do believe that we need something in writing so that we can have consistency across the district. I do want to say that having worked in different schools and different school districts, one of the districts I worked in utilized parents. They paid them to come in and cover morning duty, to cover recess duty, to cover lunch duty, to cover bus duty. So we did not require teachers to do that. So that might be an option to consider, either parents or foster grandparents to play that role.
All right, Mr. Castillo.
So I do agree with the breaks and everything, but I think what we're discussing right now is the job description, and I don't know that we need to put that within a job description. So I would prefer that on the lines of what Mr. Bro said, is y'all come back to us with something so we can approve that after you have your meeting, and include some of us on that meeting as well, and then come back to us so we can approve it, because I think every administrator is probably scheduling things differently. And if they have a format of sorts that they have to follow that fits within their school, and they can make it fit within their school, I think that's a better thing than just adding something tonight. I'm not against it by any means, I just think it's not part of a job description. And because of only that, I'm gonna vote no against the amendment. I agree they need a break, but I think we need to have discussion about it and have the teachers and principals and members of the board get together to help devise whatever the schedule or this plan may be. So that's all I have.
Point of clarification.
Go ahead.
I think that's basically what she said and what I seconded, that we're just making a formal request for you to come back to it. We're not asking for a final plan tonight.
Okay, let's do this. You guys withdraw it, and then as soon as we finish B, I'll come back to you. You can make a motion to get that added later. Let's do that. So we're gonna withdraw the motion. If there's no objection, we're gonna withdraw the motion. We'll go back to discussing the general motion, then I'll come back to you guys and you can make a separate motion. All right, so that is withdrawn. We're back to general discussion about job descriptions, Act 311. Ms. Natalie is who I left off on. Back to general.
So I know you guys said you were gonna come back to us with some supplements, for example, might be for beta. How comprehensive is it gonna be is my question, because it's starting to think a little bit, you know, if we're paying someone to work the gate, it comes out in dollars that the athletic department is generating, that runs through payroll. Like Mr. Castile said, the person who works the gate and potentially make equal or maybe even more than that supplement for that football coach is, and they may not get near the ridicule or the berating, you know, especially if that team is not playing well. Yeah, it's crazy people. So I think we need to look across the board. I would rather you guys take your time and get it right and just come back with something to it.
Yeah, and understand too, that the $30 an hour, we didn't come up with. That's in the law. And that's if we use employees. Let's say you had a parent, because I know a lot of schools now are going to the cashless entry, right? I've worked gates before and been there rather as a parent and seen other parents. We at Sulphur High Soccer, the second half of the year, piloted the cashless entry and had parents working the gate at that point because there's no money to pick up.
And that was kind of.
So at that point, that's a parent volunteer. We're allowed to do that, right? What we're not allowed to do is, force a teacher to do it. The teacher could, if they wanted to. There's some districts that have a form that you can volunteer to do it, because some teachers just want to go help. They've done it for years and want to go help do it, and that's fine. But at the same time, as an administrator, I can't go and say, you have to work 2 games a year, pick your 2. That's not how it works anymore.
I just want to make sure there was no dollars on the game. So, however we do
That-
that. Some schools don't have the capacity to generate.
Absolutely. That's one of the things we've been talking about since 311 passed, Mr. Natale. This is a.
I'd rather, again, and I'm sure you will get it right, I don't feel like you have to rush back.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting too, when you look at the financials on that law, it comes back and it doesn't cost the state anything. They say it costs $0, because it does, because it falls back on us, right? Whether it is coming from, additional supplementals from the district, whether it's coming from, the football team paying for somebody to drive the bus or whatever it is, it's coming back to us.
All right, Ms. Gay.
Yes, back to Act 311 and the concerns that Mrs. Rule shared with us. And you cleared one point up, you don't have a say in the $30 per hour. That's what the state says. And I'm gonna assume that you would prefer that it's current staff working after hours and not being forced to do it that are gonna be paid. Because would you not have to vet anyone that you allow to work a event on a school campus with students?
If you're, are you talking about like working gates and stuff like that?
Yes, correct, working gates.
So I know a lot of times, what you're gonna have is current employees. Sometimes you'll have, retired employees who may come back and work gates. In some cases, you've got folks who just work the gate for years, and that's what they do. So I'm not necessarily, saying we go get some folks off the street, to work gates. But at the same time, like I said, I have seen, especially with the cashless, entry, where you don't have to worry about, picking up money or anything like that.
Okay, well,
But we have parents that'll work the game because they're gonna be at the game anyway.
I would like to share a call that I received all of last year, and I actually spoke with the last superintendent about it, and he got it. I don't know who volunteers at the school. This person was not even an employee of Calcasieu Parish School Board, but he worked for the city, I think. And it's my understanding was he was not allowed to be on campus or around children or whatever. So we did a check into that. You were not the superintendent then, Dr. Van Meter. And we found out that the gentleman only went on the campuses after school hours, even though he didn't work for us, he worked for another company. And that was all right. I wouldn't have known that if someone had constantly calling me saying, you do know that this gentleman is not supposed to be on school property. I didn't even know the gentleman, to be honest with you. So I'm just trying to make sure something like that does not happen. Because Dr. LaPark actually checked. After I received 2 calls about that, I shared it with him, and he checked into it and said the gentleman was not violating anything, working on his other job. But it was true that he could not be on Calcasieu Parish School Board property. Now, if you have if I were a teacher in the school, and a lot of my friends have worked high school events, but they weren't getting paid $30 an hour. They weren't getting paid anything an hour. I could extend my day to make $30 an hour. I'd just get more rest the prior day because I knew I had something coming. So I was just wondering if we're going to prefer employees within the school, because I think this is a good incentive for the people who've been forced to do it in the past or asked to do it in the past. I think they'd be more willing to do it for $30 an hour.
Yeah, and like I think it would really depend on the situation at the campus, right? But I don't have a problem with preferring the employees. If I'm a principal at a campus, I'm probably gonna prefer the people that I know already.
All right, that's my point.
But at the same time, I would probably want to leave it to the discretion of the campus in terms of, who they have working their gates. As the superintendent, I don't necessarily want to have to make sure I'm watching every single principal, watching every single event, because that's one of the things that they do, is they watch their events and see who's working what. But this is just one more thing. You're right, it is one more thing to add to their plate. All right, yes, ma'am.
Ms. McReynolds?
Dr. Van Meters, I have 2 questions. The first question that I have for you, this $30 that you would pay the employee, would that apply to cafeteria workers and parents as well?
This is for teachers, I believe. I
Teachers?
think the law says teachers.
Okay, so that would be a very good incentive for the cafeteria worker, our parents. Is there any kind of way that may be able to apply to them as well? Maybe not 30, but at some other price rate?
Yeah, so we can check on that for you. Like I said, I think the law specifically says certificated employees, but we can check on that for you and come up with something.
Okay. My next question is, what happens if that school does not have if the account is depleted and we still have some other games to go? How would that employee get paid?
That's a very good question. So that's one of the reasons why, for example, some of those sports don't pay folks now. So it's not that the folks that, I'm making up a sport here. It's not that the volleyball team didn't necessarily want to pay the folks at front gate, right? It's that they didn't make a huge gate in order to cover the officials and, help run the program. And so that's why folks would volunteer to help work the front gate. At the same time, the law is very clear and doesn't give us a workaround. So what we've got to do is we've either got to help out in terms of being able to maybe help provide some of those sources somehow from the district, or, like I said, if we're cashless to be able to have parents work who are going to be there anyway and watch the ball game anyway, that's another option.
Good. Okay, so back to what we're actually voting on, which is approval of the job descriptions. Did you guys want to pull out the counselors or?
Yeah. So Mr. Valentine said he did read through it thoroughly. He said it's not in there.
It's not in there.
Had it. So
Okay, so-
let's go ahead and hold.
All right, so let me get a motion and a second to pull counselors out of the, Mr. O'Banion, motion, second, Mr. Reynolds. That's gonna pull the counselors out of the job descriptions. Any more questions about job descriptions? All right, no more questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay? Wait a minute. Okay, that was to amend the counselors out.
Right.
Okay, we amended the counselors out. Now, all in favor of adopting the job descriptions as presented and amended, all in favor say aye. All opposed, nay? Good, excellent, okay. 8B is done. Moving on to 8C, approval of request for loan to Iowa High School. Motion, Mr. Natale. Second, Mr. Hardesty. Do you want to speak on it? Is there any staff speaking on it?
I think Mr. Deeds too.
Okay. And yeah.
Coach Johns.
let him go and then I'll come to you.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank the board, Dr. Van Meter and staff for affording us the opportunity to speak to you here tonight. We want to present to you an idea, a vision that we have for improving the overall student life at Iowa through many different avenues. We think we're going to be able to obviously improve our facilities with the addition of this new digital board. We're going to be able to improve student experience, as well as multiple fundraising opportunities for various sports that we have at Iowa. Coach Johns, our head football coach, is the workhorse behind this project. He put it all together. Knowing Coach Johns for a long time, I'm very confident in his ability to fundraise and be able to pay this money back that we're asking to borrow from you guys. So it's just his project. I'm going to turn it over to him.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. Kind of give you an idea of how we got here. Number one, our school board is about 10 years old. I think everybody kind of had some of the same issues after the storm. But I do know the last 3 seasons is going out in the middle of games. And I know every year it gets repaired, but that costs money too. And the more and more we looked into it, a lot of people were presenting digital boards as kind of the way of the world. That's where everybody was going, and the amount of revenue you can generate off of it. And so some things that we didn't know either, and it's the students that are involved with operating the school board. And digital media is kind of where everything is going, obviously with teaching in our schools. But our kids are going to get the opportunity to man this operation. All the ads that are generated, all that's going to be made in class as well, even after school hours. And there's some things that we've done just with the football team. We brought 4 or 5 kids. They actually travel with us to the games. They make all of our digital media ads, all the graphics. They do video at the games. Well, now everybody can actually see their work too. I think it's a very, very, very unique deal. I think we'll be one of the first ones from a football standpoint to have it. We do have a few programs that have it with baseball. And we've researched this, and I've talked to all the people in our area that have done it. I've talked to a few people in Baton Rouge. I know Lafayette School District right now, they're installing them in all their stadiums along with some turf. So we got an opportunity to kind of speak. I don't ever like to do something first. I want to see how they do it. What are the things that they do differently? How, you know what I mean? How they fundraising, Coach, I wouldn't do it like this. You probably didn't do it like this. It'd have been a lot easier. So we came up with a plan. We got the drawings back. It's a local company that's going to do it, LRC. Donnie Culpepper's done a great job. He gave us all the drawings already. It's ready to go. So the way we're going to pay this thing back, we're going to do 8 sponsors, permanent sponsors on the board itself. They're $5,000 a year for 5 years. Okay. The board itself is $210,000. Okay. We're going to pay back $42,000 a year. We have the first installment ready to go right now. So essentially, we're going to pay 5 payments, but really over 4 years. So we'll be done in 2028. We do have a backup plan in case some people fall out. They're like, I don't want to do this. Now, we are going to have a little agreement or contract for every sponsor to sign. But, you know, if that doesn't hold up or whatever, I'm not going to say I can't bring that to court, obviously, and fight it. So if they decide they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. That's fine. But we do have a dinner and an auction that we do every year that generates anywhere between $90,000 and $100,000. Plus, we have another fundraiser we do. Obviously, that goes to our operating expenses, but we do have enough in reserve if need be to make up these payments. I'm confident that we can get this done. We've already got 6 of the 8. We have 1 who's trying to decide if they're going to buy up 2 slots. So we either need 1 more or 2, which I do think we have those 2 pretty much locked in, but we haven't got the actual check in hand from them just yet. But like I said, this is something I think we need more than I want because of all the things that it can do for not only our program, but our community. I think obviously everybody around, especially in our parish, we need some positive. And I think this is something that we can do to help promote not only our community, but our school and not just our football program either. I think our track, I think all you know how hard it is for a cross-country team, a track team to raise funds. It's very, very difficult. We're going to give up that option during track season, cross-country season, to put that board on, and you generate your sponsors. And that's going to go a long way for those guys as well. And it will turn automatically into a track scoreboard as well. So it can move into anything you want. It's pretty neat. And lastly, I'll say this, from a support standpoint, LRC is local. If something happens, that board goes out, make a phone call, they're there immediately on the spot. It's not like you're having to do with Daktronics or something like that. You got to try to call and hope they get there in a week, because that's happened before. I know the school board, we have Scott who comes out. Poor thing, he's had to come build the games to work on these boards. But having Donnie right there and having his number, he's been available, he's been phenomenal. And I feel confident that we can get this project going. Like I said, obviously with your support, we'd really appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions on anything?
It does say, I'd just like to point out, it says 2:05 on the agenda. The paperwork itself in the book, and Coach alluded to it as well, it's 2:10.
It's 2:10. It's got the official quote back. Okay.
All right, Mr. Natale, you're the motion maker. Do you want to say anything?
Sure, I would just hope that the board would get behind this. I think it's definitely needed. I don't think Iowa has ever asked for help on any project before for money. So it would definitely, it's needed, and I feel like it would be the right thing to do. Just, I'll give you a good example. Coach mentioned it, but I want to say last year during the playoff game, the board goes out. You know, what do you do? It's a close game. It's just very frustrating. And at this time, where we are in 2024, it seems like it'd be a no-brainer to have something that works consistently whenever people are paying for the experience. And then if our kids get to the ancillary benefits of working and creating the assignments and doing all the digital stuff, I think that's just the next goal. So I appreciate y'all's support. I don't have anything else. I think they did a great job.
Okay, I got several people here that want to speak. I'm gonna cut in line because we've done this a few times. I'm gonna clear up a few things that may be questions that we can get out of the way if we've done this before. We've done this a few times. Started, I think Mr. Barentine was the first one. It went great. He brought us a big check, paid it off early, so it went great. It's been done before, so I would say whatever we're proposing, it would be done in the manner in which we've done it before. The things that I remember is 5 years is fine, that's what we've done before. The agreement is with the school, not with the boosters. So the board is not agreeing with boosters for anything. So the school is paying back the district no matter what, whether your boosters came or not. So that's one thing that's very clear. And then like you said, the first payments are already ready to go.
Correct.
Is there anything else that you you remember that we've done in the past, Mr. Warner, Mr. Barentine, that we did Sam Houston. I think we made that one with Barb too, long ago. I think Barb's made it, not quite been as good, but anything else you want to?
No, it started like against Sam Houston last year.
Yeah, right. So I just want to make sure everybody knows the framework is kind of in place. We've done this before and it has gone very well in the past. The school board is going to come get the money from the school. I guess the principal is nodding as well. You know that, right? Y'all understand
It's all
the way
on
that's
him,
going to
not
work,
me.
right? So the school is, yeah. Mr. Barentine put his house up for collateral, that Castile says. No, but jokes aside, the point is, the school is agreeing to make $42,000 payments every year for 5 payments, not the boosters. That being said, we've done this several times, it's gone well every time, so I'm gonna support it, but let me go back to my list. Mr. Hardesty was first. Did you have anything, Mr. Hardesty? All right, I had you because you seconded it. You good? Mr. Bob Garden.
Yeah, just speaking on a positive note, at Sam Houston, y'all know we did the scoreboard last year for the baseball team, and the students love it. The students who get involved and get to do their graphic program, they run the whole baseball game, they do the scoreboard, they do all the commercials, they do all the pictures. So on that note, I think it's a very positive thing, and it helps out the academic, for them who want to pursue a career in that one day. So just on a positive note, I think it's a really good thing.
Thank you.
Mr. Bro.
We're taking it out, is it general funds or coming out of the Riverboat Fund? Or the funding mechanism, is it gonna come out of general funds or out of the Riverboat Fund?
General fund.
General funds? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna pick on you a little bit. We took out a loan on Mr. Barrington's house, it's collateral when we did that, so just give Ms. Becky y'all's address.
And it was like $1 million, wasn't it? Well, it was like $1 million from Mr. Barentine.
I think this board's bought my house, so.
But I agree with what y'all are doing. It is a good thing, especially with the way technology and everything is going this year. And I do agree with what you say about that product. They're horrible. Yeah. So if you were gonna if that was gonna come up, I was gonna look at you.
No, you do.
Mr. O'Banion.
That's all I was gonna ask you, Coach, if you were gonna sign a personal guarantee.
Yeah, right.
Personal guarantee?
For the loan. No, I wouldn't ask you to do that. I support it.
Mr. Castillo.
I was just gonna say, I went to, my son did track and at last year's meeting that we went to, it's you get the results many minutes after the event and everything. So I think it would be cool, and hopefully it's equipped to do this, is put their names on the board and they win that 100 meters.
Right.
And keep.
So it's supposed to be real-time scoring for sure. I'm not sure the time, there's certain timing systems are gonna have to be compatible with it.
I don't mean
but-
instantly. But,
Right. But yeah, all the scores will be updated live.
I think that would be cool.
Absolutely.
All right, anybody else? Mr. Roberts.
You mentioned reserves. How much do you have in reserves in your program?
80,000.
How much? 80,000?
All right, and then one more thing, anything as a board, anything we can do to facilitate and encourage boosters paying for programs. The point is, the school system's not having to pay for it. The school system is loaning it to the program so that it can get the boosters to pay. So I give a lot of money to a lot of programs. It's a whole lot easier to get people to give money when they can see a scoreboard go up in year one. It's a great thing, and I like doing it. Until they go badly, I think we should continue doing it until we get sideways of one. But so far, we haven't gotten sideways of any. All right, any more questions about that? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. There you go. Passes unanimously.
Thank y'all, appreciate it.
All right, moving on to D, approval of revised, okay, on these, I'll read out all these. We're gonna take each letter one at a time, but I'm gonna read all the numbers. Approval of revised code of conduct, Act 324, Act 313, Act 337. You have any presentation?
So, no, sir, all we're doing is going back and revising the code of conduct that y'all already approved before in order to abide by the new laws that were passed over the summer. I was just gonna kind of give you a quick summary of those laws and how the code of conduct would change. So if you'll go to this page right here, it should be in your sheet, at your seat. We'll go through, the only ones that are changing are highlighted, so we're gonna kind of jump through those pretty quick. So as we go and we talk about Act 324, what that basically says is that one of the things that it says is if a student is suspended 2 times, we have to provide them counseling to make sure that we get to the root of why they're being suspended. One of the things that we did last year with code of conduct that you've already approved is that at 3 suspensions, we would send a student or refer a student to the Mark Center for counseling. And we suggested at 2 suspensions, right? So what we're doing now is going back and revising that to say at 2 suspensions, you will be referred to the Mark Center so that we can be in compliance with that law. Additionally, as we go through and go to page 6, Act 313 has to do with cell phones and the removal of cell phones from campus. That's a new state law. One of the things I told the administrators on the first day together is if there's one state law you remember, please remember Act 313. It's going to be very easy to say, hey, look, it's not CPSB, not just CPSB policy, it's state law, right? But you all know that, just because it's state law doesn't mean we can suspend a kid because of that. We've got to have it in policy. That's what we're doing today. So what we're basically doing is going in and removing the bring your own device for BYOD so that we go back to the policy of you can't have cell phones on campus. They basically have to be turned off and stowed away. So, the updated, while we're updating, we went ahead, you can see the next line is updated letter from superintendent, so I updated that. The referral to the student, the Mark Center again is Act 324 there as well, another place in the Code of Conduct. Act 337 also moves a good bit of infractions around for us. So Act 337 is the next one we're going to hit, and it adjusts tobacco use from a level 2 to a level 3B. So we did that in the Code of Conduct, as well as adjusting things like vapes, electronic smoking devices in there as well. And then also the ability for an administrator to put a student up for expulsion at 3 suspensions instead of 4 per Act 337. So we adjusted that in Code of Conduct as well. So, like I said, you've already approved the Code of Conduct. What we wanted to do, though, was adjust that Code of Conduct because of the new state laws to make sure that we're fine with those.
All right, let me get a motion to accept these changes as proposed. I'm going to make a motion, Ms. Fondo, second, Ms. McReynolds. Any questions or comments? Let's go with the motion maker and the seconder first. Any questions or comments? Good, Ms. McReynolds, any questions or comments? Okay, Mr. Castillo.
So Act 313,
Yes, sir.
it says, relative to the unauthorized possession of electronic communication devices at school. Please define for us at school, does that include buses?
Actually, what the law says is during school hours, during instructional time, is what the law says. Is they have to be stowed away and turned off during instructional time. Sir?
They can be on,
During instructional time is what it says.
I'm just trying to get clarification.
Yes, sir.
If a bus driver says, hey, I'm taking your phone.
Yes, sir.
Calls, where we go from there.
Yes, sir. What the state law says is during instructional time, where, y'all can do whatever you want to do. What I would say is the intent of the law is probably to make sure that we don't have students on cell phones when they're not supposed to be, again, during instructional time. So that's where I would go from. Our instructional time is from 7:30, 7:45, depending on what time the bell rings, to 3:05. And I've been on campus before before this BYOD was in place and we didn't have cell phones. And when that bell rang at 3:05, they brought the cell phones out. Because what's going to end up having to happen is, let's say we've got a student who, for example, mom texts them and says, hey, make sure you ride home with Johnny, right? What ends up happening is, as soon as the bell rings and everything's over with, they turn that cell phone on and they get the text. So I would hate to limit that, and then the student gets home because they thought they were riding the bus, and then I don't think the intent of the law is to put any huge onus on a parent or a kid. I think the intent of the law is to make sure that we can keep school doing school, and that's what this does.
And does that include the watches as well?
Some of the watches, yeah, tracking. Some of the watches, if they've got their own, self-plan and stuff like that, that's one thing, but I think also we're gonna be able to, that teacher's gonna be able to tell the difference between what time is it and, this right here, right? So I think a lot of this is gonna be in the actual enforcement on the campus. But like I said, the verbiage of the law is turned off and stowed away during instruction.
Mr. O'Banion.
Mr. Castillo said our current policy is robust. What we say, I mean, outside of this, as far as self-image.
Well, prior to this, it's, kind of the wild, wild west, right? Especially when we've got BYD in the code of conduct. What the state law says with the instructional time, I mean, y'all can do whatever you want to do, but the example I gave of my kid maybe needing to know what they're gonna ride home at 3:05, it probably, once that bell rings, I mean, as a school principal, I didn't really sweat it that much, because then it's over.
I know, you got bus full of kids, they're all, watch video, talk on the phone, whatever.
I can definitely see how that would be distracted, and we may need to address it on a case-by-case basis. But I also see that if we were to pinch it down too tight, I just start to see communication issues that pop up. Y'all are aboard, y'all can do whatever you want to do. I'm just telling you that as a former administrator who was on a campus that had this law basically, or not law, had this policy basically in place, because I was pre-BYOD as an administrator. I didn't have a huge problem with it once the bell rang at the end of the day, because the intent was to not let them be on their phone during school.
I just know, that's why I was asking for policy, because I know we had students, told they had to have their phones stowed, they could be on, so they could watch like 360 or whatever, but.
So it does, yeah. Yeah, according to Mr. Balfour, the law, he's reading the law alongside of me, and it lines up with how I'm describing it. So. Yes, sir. And if y'all see that as an issue, I mean, that's your prerogative to go back and adjust it. Yes, sir. Understood.
And that was, and I'm sure you are, but, I'm sure that.
Yeah.
Every school is consistent.
So what we did, that's a great point, Mr. O'Banion. So what I did on the first day when we had everybody together, all the administrators together, we addressed all these laws and all these changes like we're doing with y'all. This was one of the ones I addressed. And, this was the description that we gave. So.
Sam?
Would it help or hinder for us to define what stowed away means for the admin?
So in terms of stowed away, I think you've got some folks that are gonna put it in a locker. Well, we got some folks that don't have lockers, right? We got some folks that are gonna put it in a book bag. Some folks don't have book bags. So they're just gonna carry their books. So in terms of stowed away, I mean, we can, if you wanna help the administrators go and define it, you can, but I don't know that it's gonna be easily defined because every situation is different. I think the key to that is the turned off, right? Because if it's turned off, even if it's in your back pocket, it's not gonna matter, right? Because, I mean, again, I've been around too where kids will walk into a stairwell and check their phone real quick because it's an addiction, yeah? But at the same time, if it's turned off, they're not gonna be able to do that. Because you also know how long it takes your phone to turn back on, right? And so I think that's the key there. So going through and super defining what's stowed away, let's put it this way. The law is written as stowed away probably for a reason, because they kicked around like you're kicking around right now. Well, what does that really mean? And it's going to be difficult in every situation. You can say, well, we got to have a locker. Well, not every school assigns those. They can have it if they want, but not every kid has to have it. So all those examples I gave you, I think if we just focus on the turned off and stowed away, I think that's where we're gonna get our win. By the way, I've heard from administrators and talked to them just in these first couple days of school, and they're loving it. Talking to teachers, they're loving it. One of the teachers told me, man, it's amazing. Kids are talking to each other in the same room, right? Because I think everybody in here knows you can have two teenagers in the same room and they're texting each other and they're sitting right beside each other, right? Or playing a game with each other and they're sitting right beside each other. And so having this turned off and stowed away is going to be a very positive thing. And our schools like Sam Houston that did this last year had very, very positive results. So we're looking at positive results coming out of this.
Okay, I'm gonna take a little bit of leeway here, a little bit of personal leeway. So I was a big proponent of the BYOD tests that we did when we did them, and Mr. Roberts, he's never gonna let me live it down, because I think it's good to try things, but I think I'm the first one to admit it was a successful test of something not to do. And I'm a 180 on it. Maybe that's because now I have kids and my kids are already trying to get addicted and I'm trying to avoid it, but I'm a total 180 on it. I love no devices. In fact, I think we should err on the side of over enforcing it. Do not under enforce it. If it's in there, enforce the heck out of it. Absolutely enforce it. I would say, I was reading, Reverend Wallace is good at actually going and finding where stuff actually is, and I don't have time to do that. But there's some telecommunications device policy already, JCDAE, would basically refer to some of that same language, right? I think we should all be on the same page. I'm not going to necessarily make a motion unless you think you need one. It should not be cell phones. It should be personal electronic devices.
Well, the good news is this too. Any personal electronic, let's say your tablet, right, or your laptop. When you come onto campus now, that can't even hit our network.
Right.
So the network has done additional upgrades as of this year where those devices cannot hit our network.
Well, they're gonna come with some little Android tablet with cellular plan, and their watches, my watch is just as powerful as my phone. So I'm just making, and I don't think we need to necessarily make a motion about it, but if they have a smartwatch, it should be turned off. They shouldn't be using their smartwatch to tell time, because they're lying through their teeth about what they're doing. Don't use your smartwatch to tell time. If you want to tell time, don't bring a personal telecommunications device to do it. Bring a watch. I'm just saying it. Right, because they don't know how to tell time, right? No, you can get a digital watch that doesn't have any internet or anything on it. The point is, I'm a total 180 on it. I want to see this enforced, and let's get the kids back to talking to everybody and talking to teachers. I'm a total 180. I didn't want there to be any unclearness. I was talking about you while you were gone. I was saying you're never going to let me live down making a 180 on the BYOD, because we were both kind of okay with it, but I was kind of very okay with it. He was kind of like, I don't know about this. Point is, what? Right. Mr. Roberts was right on that one. But the schools that did it, I would like, it wasn't a mistake to try it. It's good to try things, but I think we definitely tried and succeeded at discovering something not to do. And I'm a total 180 on it, and I would like to see it continue to be enforced. And if I find out that it's not being enforced, we're going to put it on an agenda and we're going to continue to discuss it until we feel like it's being enforced. So I just wanted to get that on the record, just an encouragement to please enforce it. Because if we have some schools that are known as the easy schools where the kids can play on the cell phones in the stairwells, can't go there. Enforce it the way it's written.
Agreed.
That's it. I'll drop it now. We got a long meeting. Anybody else have any more questions about Ms. McReynolds? Go ahead.
Well, I really don't have a question. I have a kudos to Washington Marion. I went to Washington Marion the first day of school, and I was on the bus ramp. So the coach made all cell phones turn off before they even hit the door. Looked at the watches. If you had Apple Watch or any type of watch that had cellular service, they actually turned those off and actually put those in a backpack. So I really was impressed with the procedure and how they handled no cell phone.
One more thing I was going to mention when he was pointing out to me the policy that's already in there. It already defines the instructional day as when from the first bell till when they're officially dismissed at the last bell. So that's already in there. So first bell to last bell is already defined, and that's what we would stick with, right? So it doesn't matter if they're between classes. It Doesn't matter if they're on their lunch break, first bill to last bill. Anybody else? Okay, seeing no more questions, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Okay, that was D. Moving on to E. Approval of policy changes. I'm gonna read all these. I'm gonna go quick because there's a whole bunch of stuff. We're gonna take them all as one. It's gonna be one discussion and one vote. Approval of policy changes, building and grounds management, employee smoking tobacco and marijuana use, student smoking tobacco and marijuana use, home study program, co-curricular activities and extracurricular activities, interscholastic athletics, truancy, electronic telecommunications devices, discipline, suspension of students, expulsion of students, child abuse, and grading. All right,
So moved.
got a motion, Mr. Hardesty, second. Dr. Washington, any discussion or questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
So move on that.
All right, passes unanimously. We're on to F. Approval of revised pupil progression plan. Motion, Mr. Hardesty. Second, Mr. Pishon. Any questions or comments on that one? Good? Question? Go ahead, Mr. Castillo.
I had just received a couple of comments from teachers regarding the AP classes, the 27 grades for high school. And I think, yeah, my daughter took AP classes and she may have taken a lot of tests, but you know, if she got the B, she got a B. She didn't get an A. I think we need to stick with 27 grades, especially since the grading has been reduced to a 10-point scale from a 7, or increased to a 10-point scale from a 7-point scale as well. So anyway, that's all that.
And just so you know, the reason that high school suggested that is we had some teachers that were doing, not necessarily in AP classes per se, but had boo-hoo grades, like 60 to 9 weeks. And so it's kind of one of those deals where when everything's important, nothing's important. So that's why it was suggested.
All right, any questions or comments? Oh, Ms. Ayo?
You might not know the answer to it. Why would they take, I hate to put a cap on the grades. They ought to be able to grade what they think they need to grade. And it's hard for me to wrap my mind around someone wanting to grade 50 papers. To begin with, that's a lot of work.
Now, one of the things that, I don't know why, but even if I wanted, let's say I was back to a teacher, right? And one of the things I did when I was a teacher, I had a bell ringer like almost every teacher, right? I imagine what some folks are doing is doing a single, let's say a 3-point bell ringer every day for 45 days, right? Where instead what we can do is do 1 bell ringer grade, and now we've reduced that down from 45 grades to 1 grade. So like, even if I'm a teacher in a classroom tomorrow and this gets passed tonight where we're limiting to 27, it doesn't change my everyday practice other than how I'm reporting those in the grade level. Does that make sense?
So they can still grade it, but
One of the things we are seeing is when we have, for example, one of the reasons they came up with this too is when we have somebody in that classroom who has 60 grades and we've got special education students and things like that. That's a lot to keep up with. So that's where we are.
and some of the teachers' rationale is they don't grade it, the students won't do it.
Agreed. Well, I'm not arguing that, but like I said, even if I have, that same daily grade, right, rather than doing it 45 times, if I did it 1 time and combined those points together, I think we end up with the same. It's mathematically the exact same thing without being so onerous on everything. So, for a minute.
Anybody else? Okay, did we get a motion and a second on that one? Okay, all in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. All right, that was pupil progression plan, right? Approval of performance contracts. I'm gonna make a motion on this one. Motion, Dr. Washington, second, Mr. Castillo. Questions or comments on this one? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. H, somebody go. Make a motion, somebody. Mr. Castillo, motion, Mr. Castillo, second, Mr. Natale, that's approval of emergency pay plan. Any questions? Comments? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Motion on aye, Mr. Hardesty, second, Dr. Washington. That's approval of reunification plan MOUs, West Cal Arena, Burton Coliseum, Lake Charles Event Center, Delta Downs.
What is that?
So I could speak to that if you'd like. One of the things you're gonna actually notice on H all the way through K, these are things that deal with emergencies or something FEMA has told us to do. In this case right here, this is approval of reunification plans. We've actually set up MOUs for your approval with facilities that are not CPSB in case we had an emergency at our site. So God forbid we had an emergency where one of our sites was a crime scene, right? Since it's a crime scene, what we're being told as we go and listen to folks speak on safety and things like that, we can't have parents then come and pick up all their kids at that site. So what we would do, work with transportation, move them to a separate site that has air conditioning and bathrooms and things like that, that we would be able to have large facilities, large parking lots in order to help facilitate the movement of parents to pick up their kids. So that's where we're at. And so we are limited in terms of, we've got to have big areas, right? And we may be coming to you a little bit later with other sites, but these are the first 4 that we came up with, kind of spread out around the parish, that are large, air-conditioned with bathrooms, and these folks are agreeing, absolutely, we'll help you out if a real emergency happens. Just trying to think ahead.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, nay.
So move on, J and K.
All right, move on J and K, you said? All right, Mr. Hart's motion is on J and K. We have a second. Second, Dr. Washington. I'm going to read these real quick. Approval of resolution authorizing the superintendent to execute documents and agreements required in implementing grant under the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program, and approval of resolution for CPSB to borrow $35 million through the Louisiana Local Government Environmental Facilities and Community Development Authority for the purpose of refunding previously issued bonds for Hurricane Laura recovery. Any questions or comments on these? Go ahead.
I can. You want me to hit both? You want me
Yeah,
to- It's a
hit them both.
$35 million question.
Hit them both real quick.
Yes, sir. So one is just to basically allow me to go through and do the community development block grant recovery. It's basically just in place in order for me to be able to sign grants. Is there anything?
That particular grant is going to cover our cost share on the remediation part of the hurricane.
And then the second one, K, is we have a $35 million balloon payment coming up based off of the money that we borrowed from before. This is to authorize me to go in, or authorize us to go and refinance that at a good rate when the rate becomes better. Good rate. So refinancing the balloon note.
Do we know what the refinancing is at? Not yet, we just get permission to do that, and when the market's favorable, maybe this month or next month, and kind of watch out and see. Payment is favorable.
Yeah, well, that's never going to be favorable.
So-
Relatively speaking. Yeah, that's relatively speaking.
The payment is due in, January of 26. So it's coming up in about 18 months. So we get permission now, because the markets are a little bit more favorable. We have time.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 18 months from now, we don't know. But one thing we do know is we're probably not gonna have $35 million in hand to pay when it comes due. So we just get permission now so that we can act next.
Okay, any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. That passes unanimously. Okay, before we move on, we're still on take appropriate action. Back to Ms. Ayo. Do you guys want to make a motion about Ms. Ayo? Ms. Ayo, okay, I'll make sure you heard me about your
Your
lunch
microphone, I heard.
thing.
The best thing, should I make a motion or should this be brought up between an A and B?
Just go ahead and make a motion, but make the motion to direct staff to put something together, is what I would say.
I make a motion that we have something in writing where the elementary teachers have 45 minutes of unencumbered time to take care of lunch, personal business, phone calls.
So a motion, Ms. Ayo, second, Mr. O'Banion. Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. All right, moving on to permission to advertise, request for proposals for emergency temporary roofing and debris cleanup. Somebody make a motion on that one, please. Mr. O'Banion, motion, second, Mr. Natale. Any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. Bid reports, somebody get A, B, and C. Make a motion on A, B, and C. Somebody, Ms. McReynolds, second, Reverend Wallace. That's on A, B, and C. Phase 6 modifications to existing library, Washington Marion High School District 31 bond funds. Bid 2025 RF refrigerated 26-foot van, food services department. Bid 2025-DV dry van warehouse, IT truck sales and services. Any questions or comments? Mr. O'Banion, go ahead.
Just, I guess, for Mr. Bourne, I know we're leasing maintenance trucks. Did we look at leasing these, or is that not?
No, this is available for us to buy, so we decided to buy this.
Or just, and kind of, not on this, but back to since availability is getting better on all the other trucks, do we have to go with enterprise route, or can we?
No, in some situations, we can still buy different trucks if you want to, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, more comment, Ms. Gay?
Yes, I have a question for probably to Ms. McReynolds. Ms. McReynolds, is this a modification or a gutting? Just exactly how extensive is this proposed? And are you in agreement with it?
I am in agreement with it. It's actually removing some shelving, new flooring, a bathroom, not expanding it out as before, but just expanding it within. And also we have new furniture coming and some, Maritime, if I'm missing something else?
Okay, so you're actually making that current library more modern and in tune with, okay, as long as you're satisfied with it, I don't have an issue with it.
Anybody else? Okay, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. That's A, B, and C. Bid reports for ratification, hurricane repairs to A.M. Barb High School. Motion, Mr. Roberts, second, Mr. Castillo. Any questions on this one?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Roberts.
Is this the last one?
No.
Is this the last one? Is this the last one for Barb?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. That's what you
Does it include some HVAC?
This in particular, I don't think so. I don't think they check all this particular one.
Okay. Seems to still not be working out there. So. All right, thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay.
So move on 12, A through C.
All right, 12, what was 12C? We added that one, right?
Yeah, it's in the new page.
Yeah. Okay, so the motion's on 12C, Mr. Hardesty, second, Mr. Baumgarten. All right, change order number 1 for the project new gymnasium site improvements, Washington Marion High School. Recommendations of acceptance, SP and Arnett Middle School, cafeteria renovations, recommendation of acceptance, additions to Westlake High School. Any questions or comments?
I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't want to hold it up on the Washington Marion gym being built, but what the description says, can this been have identified before the work has been done until like now, coming up with 47?
Yeah, a lot of this is electrical stuff. It was not identified before because there was some drainage that was put across the parking lot. Now I think some electrical work also. Now that the gymnasium is going to be going there, they look for another way to provide the electricity that really provides for the stadium, field house, and some of this.
Okay.
And then there was just no way else for them to do it as far as the drainage is concerned. That's associated with it also, because it had to go too far to get back to the road where it needs to be before it went straight across. There was no fall before they go all the way across. And so the combination of those two things.
Okay, so it's going to utilize more than just the gym, so other areas would be beneficial to this.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
When they said the gym, it's also like 47 is not just for the gym.
No, it's really gonna accommodate everything right there around the stadium, but it's just part of the gym. came up because of you.
All right, anybody else? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. It's 12, A, B, and C. All right, condolences and recognition, start down there with Ms. Gay.
I have none.
Go ahead. Well, Mr. Hardesty?
I do have one for the family of Ms. Florence Fontenot, who was a longtime employee of the system, as well as two daughters who are employees within our system, one administrator and one in the classroom.
Mr. Talley, Mr. Brown?
Can I be added on for Mr. Wallace on the letter for Ms. Florence Fontenot? Thank you.
Mr. Ray, Ms. Ayo? Okay, committee reminders, just a reminder of these dates, August the 27th and September the 24th, that's C&I and budget. Motion to adjourn? Second, all in favor, say aye. We're adjourned.